Welcome back to Straight Facts, live on Wednesday. The Don Husam is here with me. Judge Mo, a.k.a. Mo Gender, is in the house. How are you two fine gentlemen?
This is a beautiful day. The sun is back, so I'm back in my element. You know, even though my face turns red, my skin is used to it. I'm not used to the cold. So yeah, it's 35 degrees. Very beautiful weather. Big up to everyone. We are back. Straight Facts, the best Straight Facts show of the week, the best channel on YouTube when it comes to football debate. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we're here to give you guys the show that you all wait for every single Wednesday. So yes, we're here, ready to rock and roll with not Mo Gender. He has a new name. Mogenio is his new name.
Mogenio.
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 Alhamdulillah, we're good. But listen, before we go on to the show, guys, I know a lot of you are watching this on the replay now, and I know that because of time and stuff. You know the like button, that thumbs up thing underneath your live chat. You hit that, and then you go and enjoy the show because it helps the channel, it helps the show. So come on. Yes, John. Yes, I'm the other guy.
Sam, you made me laugh, right? Because you said you go red. I'm the same. It's very hot here in England today. Like the thermometer at the back of my house said it's 36 degrees. I went for a bike ride today with a sauna suit on to sweat more. I did that 3 hours ago, and I still haven't cooled down. And people keep saying, your face is bright red. I'm like, yeah, this is my tan. This is the color I go when it's hot. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. So
someone told me the problem is in the UK, you guys don't have like ACs or anything because you're not used to the hot weather.
We don't really have AC because there's not a lot of hot weather. Equally, our houses are all built to keep heat in because it's a cold country. Yeah. So in the winter, our houses turn into ovens basically, and it's next level. Like again, I was in Qatar, and the way the houses are built, if it's stinking hot outside, you walk into the house with the AC on and it's beautiful. So yeah, you don't have any of those issues. But here, Terry having heat. I'm not having heat stroke. I feel fine. My face goes red. But no, I trained in the sauna suit today because it's good for you. It gets extra sweat out, and it's healthy. But lots to talk about on the show today. We're going to be talking about Chelsea looking at a big move. They have officially inquired and gone to Newcastle to start negotiations for Alexander Isak. Arsenal are reportedly serious about an approach for Eze. Now, we know Arsenal were looking at a number of top-level stars. They've got Kimmich on the agenda. We know they're looking at Nico Williams. They're looking at Eze. You'll always get the detractors that will say, how can they be looking at all of them? That is what the top clubs do. More on that to come later. We're going to talk on City as well, that are looking at Dani Olmo. Or I keep calling him Elmo, but it's Olmo. Potentially coming in this summer as well to the Etihad. We'll have a little touch on England as well. But viewers, also, the boys already said, hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace. But I wanted to start with some Man United news today. In the first bit, do you want to start off with the stadium or suing UEFA?
We could go with whichever one you want. We're ready anyway. You decide.
We'll go with suing UEFA. Reportedly, Manchester United have hired lawyers and are prepared to take UEFA to court. So I suppose you would call that suing them. Or taking legal action against them, because they won't allow us to sign Todibo from Nice. Manchester United are essentially claiming that, yes, it's between associated parties, but they will pay a fair market price, and they don't see why they shouldn't be able to do it. When we have seen the RB clubs trade players before and both be in the Champions League, you know, City have just bought a player of their own club, although they're not in the Champions League together. If you're allowing us to compete in the same competition, and if we're trading players at market value, where is Man United believe there should be no issue in that. And it looks like Man United here could be following suit of their local rivals, Man City, and suing or taking to court a governing body. Now, there's no official word from Manchester United yet. This is a report that's come from Sasha Tavoliera. But what do you boys make of Man United going to the court of arbitration to have that rule looked at?
It's funny because you're suing UEFA, and every time you bring a City fan on here, they start waffling about the red cartel and, you know, how United, Arsenal, and Liverpool are the reason of City's downfall and all that. But United are doing the same thing that City's doing. So, you know, red cartel, my ass, City fans. Shout out to Rui Pinto, should be United. Now, back to Man United. I keep my energy the same, whether it's United, City, my own club. I don't like this. I completely don't like this whatsoever. I don't like the fact that the owner of the same two clubs could make transfers between each other, because this will open up a hellacious kind of world, which it already has. I mean, we've already seen Savio move to Man City. Obviously, someone's going to tell me, oh, yeah, but he played for Anderlecht or whatever the hell he played. You get my point in it. Like, he was a Girona player. So I'm saying that's something I will forever be against, even if it's my own football club. Even if it's Liverpool buying, let's say, you know, Lille, whoever, insert, you know, club in France. If we're buying a Lille or we're buying a whoever, I don't like that. I really don't, because thing is with Nice, and I always put the smaller club in mind. Yes, Nice is not a global, you know, club. Yes, they're not a global institution. Yes, they're not watched around the world, and yes, they're all that stuff. At the end of the day, they still have a community that care about them, a community that love them. And I get the part where you say, okay, we're going to pay fair market price. So let's assume, let's put it this way. Let's say Liverpool want Todibo, Nice want 40 million. Man United want Todibo, also they have to pay 40 million, as an example. Like, let's say it's very fair, there's nothing wrong with it, blah, blah, blah. I still think, based on the concept that they both are owned by the same club, it's wrong, by definition. So I'm not even going extreme example. I'm not saying, yo, guys, we're going to get Todibo for 3 million. It's unfair. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not going extreme example. I'm saying even if they pay a fair market value, I don't like the fact that the same owner could sell to himself, basically. That's the one thing that I don't like, because I don't know what guarantees that the club even goes, the money even goes to Nice to begin with. Like, there's many complications, there are many complicated matters. And I called out the RB clubs when they sold to each other as well. I'm against that regardless. So
no, I disagree with you, Husam. I disagree with you. Sorry, Terry. I disagree with you. I'm going to tell you why. It's simple. Because they are not going to hold the player at ransom if he wants to go to Liverpool, for the example you said. If the player wants to go to Liverpool and the owner said, no, you're not going unless Liverpool pays 60 million, I think the player will take them to court. The player will complain. If the player wants to go to Man United, he's going to go to Man United. I see this rule. As long as it's market value, I see no problem with it. Because if you look at it from outside, if the owner is not there, would you not agree that Todibo, if Man United come asking Nice, Todibo would have let, yeah, I'm going to go Man United because Man United is the bigger club. Logically speaking, if someone goes from Salzburg to Leipzig, yes, they will go from the Austrian league to the Bundesliga because it's the bigger league. So I see no problem with this. As long
Can I
as
ask you a question, Mo, please?
Yes.
Okay, so let's assume, for the sake of argument, let's go to a very realistic scenario.
Yeah.
Let's say Liverpool as well want Todibo. Todibo now wants to move to Liverpool over United. Do you think Nice allow that?
Yes. Why not?
I
genuinely think at the end, if the guy wants to go, he's going to go.
Let me just interject for a minute here, boys. I agree with what Mo's saying, but that's where it's about fairness. So if Liverpool and Man United both bid the same amount of money and Todibo picks Liverpool, Nice shouldn't be able to block it in that circuit. If they do, then you make that the rule. You almost make it, as long as another club is bidding the same amount of money, or if the player decides not to join, he doesn't have to. If he's not forced into going to that club, then there shouldn't be an issue with it, as long as you're paying market value. You know, City have done this multi-club project brilliantly, and it's one element of City that I've never really challenged or overly questioned. I've always said it, what a great model to have all these, you know, clubs that they can loan players out to and buy from. But the only situation that needed to be correct is that there was real market value in the players that you're buying. So if Todibo would cost anybody else 50 million pounds, then we should have to pay. If we're getting him for 20 million, then I agree there is a problem with that, because it is financially cheating the system. If we get him well below market, and by the way, those rules exist within business in the UK anyway. So for instance, if I'm selling my business and it's worth 2 million pounds, but you know what, Mo, you're my friend, I'm going to sell it to you for £500,000. There can be huge tax implications for you later on down the line, because it can be audited and they look at it and go, hang on a minute, how have you bought a business worth X for £500,000? What's going on here? You're not allowed to do that in general business anyway. So I've no issue with that being the rule, but I don't see why they should be blocking us. And I think at the very least, as Man United fans, I want to understand why we can't do it, but the RB clubs could, when it came to Šeško as an example. And I'm sure there's been other exchanges. Then I just want to understand how they differentiate those two things, or if they brought the rule in now, why is it going to be further widespread? You know, I think those things are happening, but look, we'll see what happens.
How would you answer the question that I asked Mo? Very realistic scenario, same wages, same money, exactly. and let's say Todibo wants to choose Liverpool, do you really think, let's not act ideal world here, objectively, do you think Jim Ratcliffe will go like, yeah, you can go to Liverpool? Come on.
Well, though I understand where you're coming from, and he may say no, and I think it's one of those things in life. I don't know if you guys experienced this in the schools you went to. I've seen it in workplaces as well. You know, sometimes the minority can ruin it for the majority. So maybe the teachers say, right, you guys can use this room as a common room. Your whatever year, the most senior year in school, this is your common room. And then you get that one idiot who does something stupid, like brings a bottle of beer into the common room. And then that probably didn't happen in Jordan, to be fair, but it definitely happens in England. And then the school says, that's it, the common room's gone, nobody can use it. That's what Sir Jim would do in that circumstance. It would be, okay, well, you've ruined it. Now there's a carpet ban, sort of a blanket carpet ban, a blanket approach to everybody, and no one can do it now. So I think it's going to be fair. But Terry, please do some research first on what are you actually talking about?
Here come Maradona.
This is what's so funny. Like, from my perspective, some people saying it isn't suing them. Well, when you get a lawyer and you're threatening the court of arbitration for sport, what are you doing when taking legal action against somebody is what?
Suing them.
Suing someone. Do you know what I mean? Fair enough. I am not legally trained, right? I'm only going by the report. If there's a slightly different word, great, I'll change it. But tell me what that word is. But essentially, Man United, and what we're doing right now is posturing. We're saying, right, we're getting a lawyer, and we might take you to court. Are you going to reconsider? That's what's going to happen first. And what you might find your way to do is go, do you know what? Okay, as long as it's within market value, and this organization can investigate the transaction to make sure you didn't reject Liverpool when Todibo wanted to go there, and as long as the fee is within market value and it isn't spread over a 15-year period to pay it, okay, then maybe they'll turn around and do that, but we'll see. Viewers, make sure
one thing that I agree with you on, just quickly, it should be either the same rule for everyone or not. Don't say RB are allowed to do it, but United aren't, or City aren't. You have to keep one consistent rule for everyone, and just so we know, even as football fans, what should we follow and what we shouldn't follow. Simple as.
Yeah, and someone here says that they haven't taken legal action yet, Terry. Well, I know. That's why it says, the title says to Man United to sue, which is a preemptive wording, which means they're going to, or they're threatening to. No one said they're actually going to court yet. But essentially, when you get a lawyer and you make it public that you're doing it, that's the first stage of legal action, my friend. So factually, you are wrong. It's the beginning of legal action. Is that I'm going to call a lawyer. You know, some people do it when you're in a dispute. I'm going to call the police. Even if you don't end up calling them, that threat of the police is still part of that whole process. Exactly, taking action. So yes, but look, United are saying it there. Listen. There's another big story today surrounding Manchester United as well. And it's that the Ineos may give up the naming rights to Old Trafford and or the new stadium on that site to raise the money to build the 90,000 plus seater stadium. What do you guys make of Manchester United looking essentially being called, I don't know, the Apple Arena, so that they can suddenly have a 90,000 seater stadium? Thoughts on that, boys?
No problem at all. I don't see any problem with it. At all, by the way. O2, it doesn't. I don't care. It had like Manchester City. I don't see any problem, and I don't know why.
A club of no soul, please.
And I don't know what. Okay, the new stadium is not going to be called Old Trafford. It's going to be a new stadium. It's not going to be named the same. Like, you cannot build a new stadium like Arsenal built the Emirates. We're not making fun of them, right? Like, until this moment, Tottenham Hotspur cannot find a sponsor to the stadium. I don't see why people are making fun of money. They're actually doing the right thing. They are selling the naming right to someone to make money, to pay wages, to build a stadium. I don't see any problem with it. I think people are nitpicking here. There is no problem.
Football's dead.
Laughing. Why are you laughing? I want to understand. Why are you smiling?
Because football's dead.
You know why? You know why?
The last thing we need is Old Trafford changing to Apple Arena.
I'm going to tell you what. Because your club is not.
I would never change Anfield to the Galaxy Arena just so we can get 90,000 people in there. I'd never want that. I'd always want the name to be Anfield. I understand it's only symbolic, and I understand it might not mean thing in the grand scheme of things. And I understand,
yes, with the emotion.
In the big picture, they want to raise the money to build the new stadium. I get that, but me, I'm very old school when it comes to these things. I want Old Trafford to remain Old Trafford, and Anfield to remain Anfield, and Highbury to remain Highbury. I mean, the soul that Arsenal fans had in Highbury was way more than the soul they have now in the Emirates. you know, and it might not be the name change that caused that, but you know, it might be part of it. I don't know. It's just I love these old things. It should always be old-fashioned to me.
I listen. I understand where you're coming from, and when Newcastle Stadium become the Sports Direct Arena or whatever it was, I sort of stood there with Newcastle fans, not in spirit, not literally. I didn't travel to Newcastle. I was like, yeah, that's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. But then my mind over the years started to change because I still just called it St. James's Park. In fairness, I do call the Emirates because it was a new stadium in a new location.
Everyone still call it St. James's Park. You are right.
But it's true. For instance, I don't even know what Spurs' stadium's called, but I still just call it White Hart Lane. I still just say, are we at White Hart Lane? Now, if Man United were moving 5 miles away and it was a brand new location in a brand new area, then, and it was going to be a brand new set being built, I get it. But as long as we redevelop, or we build on the same that we build on Trafford, where it is, Old Trafford, where it is, everybody's still just going to call it Old Trafford. The fact that officially in the papers or when you go onto a website, you know, when you I look at like live score for updates, it will say the fixture, the date, the referee, the managers, and it will say in a little bit Old Trafford. It might say the Apple Orignal. I don't care. It's still going to be Old Trafford as far as I'm concerned. But if we can suddenly have a 90,000 plus seat stadium, it already, when that place is buzzing, there ain't nothing like it. You had another 15 to 20,000. I mean, what I really hope we do is break the 100,000 mark. I would love that. I almost get a feeling that they won't allow us to be the planners won't allow us to end up being bigger than Wembley. I've just got a horrible gut feeling they won't allow it to be bigger than Wembley, but I hope they do. But financially for us, it's important. And I know a lot of football fans hate the financial talk, but remember, some people said, why can't the owner just pay himself? He's a billionaire. Well, there's only a limited amount of money that owners can pump themselves into a football club. It's the reason why Etihad Airways it's why City have all these sponsors that have come in because their owner can't actually pump his own money directly in the club to do all these things. So it's going to probably cost £1 billion to build a new stadium.
But City are a club with no soul anyway. May not have soul.
No, I understand it, but I don't think it will remove our soul. It's one of those things. Everybody that goes there will still call it Old Trafford. No one, Man United fans won't suddenly go, oh, I'm so looking forward to going to the Apple Arena. They'll just say, I'm looking forward to going to Old Trafford. I'm still going to OT. It won't really, the naming rights, as much as it sounds bad, in reality, it isn't going to change. Like, it really isn't going to, like our shows, we haven't got a sponsor on today's show. But if we got sponsored, the show's exactly the same, even if I have a different QR code and a different logo. The show is identical. Nothing changes, other than the fact that we might promote a product that I endorse and I think is really good and I think the users might like. Other than that, the shows are identical. It doesn't change the football terrace. So I'm just, maybe my mind has changed as I've got older. I look at it this as well. A lot of people go, oh, it's terrible that our owners are doing this. Why do you think they're going to have to raise the money to be able to build a new stadium? Because the Glazers have hemorrhaged over £3 billion out the club in the last 17 years. And that's the irony of this. We want to get a new stadium and we want it as quickly as possible. But £3 billion has bled out of this football club through poor investments, dividends and interest payments. Of course, we've got to go and raise. Of course, we've got to raise the funds somehow to build the stadium and pay off debts and all these types of things that have been lumbered upon us. Because remember, the owners can't pump all the money in to do it. It's against the rules of the game. Unless Man United fans want our owners to cheat financially in a way in which that we've condemned other clubs for, this is the only method that can be used. So I don't really get, again, I think it's a little bit of fake outrage. But yeah, for me, I think it's a good thing. And bring me that new stadium, bro. Bring me that. We're already bigger than everybody else by a fairly big way. To suddenly go to 90,000+, no one's touching that in my lifetime. Like having the biggest stadium, I think it's a nice little flex. It's only a small one, but it's a nice flex to have.
I actually like it. I like the idea. I love the idea. I think Husam, because for the majority of the time he supported Liverpool.
Got the green card, become American.
All he had. Are you
done, Mo? Are you done?
If I'm like,
do you like it when it's like the crypto arena for the league?
No. But I'm gonna tell you the difference. I'm gonna tell you the difference. When my club,
Garden, look at the difference.
When my club win, I don't care about all these names of like, it doesn't matter. At the end, this is the new financial world, Husam. And I think because really, I'm being genuinely honest here, because for the longest time, all you had is to rave about Anfield and the stadium and all the stuff. For the majority of the time, you supported Liverpool. You think this is football. Now your club has won, Habibi. If you want to raise money, and you have to do it this way, they're not selling their stadium. They're selling the naming right. It's still the stadium will still be owned by Manchester United. Who cares if the name is Apple? As long as the name is not the Dancing Stars there, they're not going to play in the Dancing Stars. It's a reputable company that will sponsor the stadium like the Etihad, like the
By
Emirates.
using your logic,
Who
if
cares?
it's the Dancing Stars, there should be no problem.
Why? No. That's not like, it's not related to foot. It's not a big thing. What do you mean the Dancing Stars? You want to name Old Trafford the Dancing Stars? That would be a mockery, right? But if it's named Apple Arena, Auto Arena for whatever reason, it's good. It's not. I don't see any problem with that at all. A Vodafone Arena, whatever.
And I'm a fundamentalist. That's where we differ.
I don't think it's a problem. And by the way, when Man United do this, and they get the 90-seat stadium, and Emirates now have a bigger stadium, and you're still stuck, right? And without raising the money, and you cry on your channel about the what's their name, your owners, whatever their name is, right?
Yeah, but match day revenue.
And you cry about them. You cry about them because they don't have the money to spend. And they don't have money to renew the stadium, and you're in debt because you renewed the stadium and you couldn't find a sponsor, you will cry and other clubs will spend money and then get play. I'm being genuinely serious. You will be crying if other clubs do that and raise money. And it's not a dig at you. It's not a dig at you at all. But your owners, if they don't get the sponsor for the stadium and they have to limit your spendings because they spend their money and they couldn't find the sponsor, you will be saying, why didn't we get a sponsor like these guys? Why did we have to spend the club's money and now we cannot spend on transfers? You sit and complain about the money and they don't spend the money and they tell you, oh, we don't have the money, we don't raise the money and this and that, right? If they get a sponsor and they're able to spend money, you'll be all right with it. If you get the best players around in the world, you'll be able to do that. And you'll be all right with it as long as it's a reputable company and there's no problem. This notion of semantics is strange, bro. Go ahead, respond or do whatever semantic. Do whatever semantics.
No, I'm not doing any semantics.
You're playing on people's emotions, bro. Okay, I'm being serious. Wallah, you're playing on people's emotions. Wallah al-Azim. You are. Okay. You're like, oh, this is Anfield. This is Anfield. Now we want to keep the name. Yeah, at the end, it's all about the money. The Italian league went down because of the money. I'm being serious. You know that more than anyone. You're an educated man, and you know that football is moving towards the money era. Whoever has the money will succeed. Everton has a historic stadium. Leeds have a historic stadium. You need the money. And as long as you get it legally, and as long as you get it the right way, who cares, bro? Semantics again. And all this.
Are you done? Match day revenue, Mo, only accounts for about 3% of the income of football clubs anyway. So even if Man United, let's say, you know, they get 7 million per year and we get 3 million per year, that doesn't make a difference in the grand scheme of things. What separates the Premier League is the TV revenue and how many people watch it globally and blah blah blah, and not the actual match day revenue, because that makes no difference.
That's not strictly true.
Yeah, well, that's why the only
factually check the fraud. Factually check the
fraud.
Yeah,
you can fact check it, no problem. The only reason why,
and I looked at this not long ago. I just wanted to. I'm just gonna. Sorry, I need
City
to
only account.
By the way, the stadium is not.
Yeah, no, I need to.
The only reason why
one second. Let me just. No, it's not. So, for instance, Man United in 2023, match day revenue. It's of our. I'm just adding this all up here. So it's 5, 6, 7, nearly 800 million of turnover. Just under 200 million of it comes from match day revenue. So
25%.
It's a good. It's sort of between 25% to a third of the income comes from match day revenue. It's huge. So you got to remember. So it's not just the ticket fee. It's like, so when people are in the stadium, it's the drinks they buy, it's the food they buy,
and if you suddenly throw hospitality, right? There's a lot of other stuff.
Hospitality. If you suddenly throw an extra 20,000 people into Old Trafford, you could make an extra million, 1.5 million per match day if you do it right. And if you have how many home games a year, including cup if you have 20 to 25 home games in a season, including cup competitions and stuff, it's a considerable amount of money to increase. And it's money that none of your counterparts can like get near because you've got more. There's a huge amount of income coming in for that. There's a huge amount of income.
Take the L and move on. Take the L and move on. Take the L and move on.
Are you seeing the new TV deal for the Premier League? Have you seen the stipulations of it and how much money the Premier League are going to make in 2026 or 2027?
No, I haven't looked at it, no.
Match the revenue will be irrelevant compared to how much money the Premier League make. I think they're tripling on their current deal.
Well, I mean, it will and it won't be. The reason why it will and it won't be irrelevant is that what you will then see, typically, I know they're talking about caps coming into what players can earn, but we'll see if that stands the test of time and doesn't get increased. But then you'll just see wages and salaries and fees start going up for transfers. Therefore, match day revenue. Because what I would love to see is a new TV deal come in, and then clubs drastically lower their prices. But one thing about this stadium renewal by Man United is that we're also looking to increase their stadium prices. So not only have an extra 20,000 seats, but they're also looking to up how much it costs per ticket to come into the stadium. So I think the business people involved in this look at it a little differently. But viewers, listen, I want to know what you think and what you feel. And I need to challenge someone in the comments here because I've gone and looked and done the research since we've been talking. So Olu, big up yourself. He's turned around here and says the reason why RB are allowed to buy and sell is because they have separate boards and different decision makers at their club. And I actually hear that as an example. And then you've got Maradon who jumped in and says, hence why Terry needs to do his research. So I am going to put this up on the screen when it eventually downloads. But I went and looked at the Nice board. There isn't a single person on the Nice board or in the decision-making team at Nice that matches Manchester United's. Not one person. There isn't a single entity at Nice, on Nice's board, who matches Manchester United's. We haven't even officially put Sir Jim's name down. He's not even officially a board member at Manchester United. So, if that's the reason as to why, because they have separate decision makers and separate board members, go now onto Nice's website, people, and just put in Nice FC board, and you'll see Jean-Pierre Rivera as their chairman. The CEO is Fabrice, I can't pronounce his name, Busquets. They have the sporting director as Florent Maurice, as an example. And then they have a director of performance called Laurent Perezi. Then they have like academy director who is Manuel Perez. And then they have a performance director. His name is Titu Hassani. So there isn't a single decision maker at Nice, a single board member at Nice who matches with Manchester United's. So again, answer me why, if that's not the case. Again, that's just 5 minutes. So when someone says go and do your research, the reason I didn't go and look at that before going live is that when it was announced that Manchester United and Nice could play in the same competition, the newspapers stated that was doable because their boards and decision makers were different. So therefore, I didn't think I had to say that this time around. So, yeah, please, people, go and find. I'm not saying I know the answer. That's why I want my club to take to find out. But it can't be for board and decision makers because they are completely and utterly different. How is Ratcliffe's name not there? Well, I've just been onto Manchester United website, my friend. Again, Maradon. This isn't. Sometimes you act like I make these things up. If you go Manchester United board right now, unless I've missed it, and if I've missed it, I will apologize profusely. This is what's listed. Okay, board of directors: Avram Glazer, Joel Glazer, Kevin Glazer, Brian Glazer. A name I can't pronounce, but it's Darcy. Oh, it's Darcy Glazer, daughter. Edward Glazer, John Rees, Rob Nevin, Robert something, and Jonathan Hooks. They are our directors. When you then click on the management page of Manchester United, Avram Glazer, Joel Glazer, Jean-Claude Blanc, the interim CEO, and Roger Bell. His name is not there in official capacity. So Maradon, I don't make these things up. I went and looked, my friend. And you can be the owner of a company and not be on its board of directors. Honestly, it's like talking to kids sometimes. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Terry, thoughts on Ineos have done with the women's team? Well, I saw people kicking off about that today, saying that some of our better players are leaving. And it's because they want to try new things. Earps, the goalkeeper, is going to PSG. But we're also linked with the top talent from Man City today as well. So I'd have to do a little bit more research because I don't follow women's football as closely as I would like because I'm very busy doing other things. But I've read some stories that we're linked to other people. When you say what they're doing with it, we'll wait and see. I don't think they're doing a bad job. Just won our first ever trophy as a club, so I'm cool with it. There we go. Called him out. Moving on from Manchester United. Actually, I've got some super chats first. What stops us from buying him and not registering him for the Europa? I mean, that's also an option, potentially, but we don't want to do that, but that is an option, I suppose. As a United fan, I understand why they are taking legal action, but it still makes me uncomfortable. It affects the smaller clubs in the ownership more.
Yes, I agree with Patrick. That's always been my logic.
I also agree if you start screwing these smaller clubs. I mean, what's the name of the club that City have just bought that player from?
Girona?
No, but they bought him from their other. He actually belongs to their other club. Is it Troy? I can't remember. It's spelled T. It's spelled like Troy, but it isn't pronounced that way. It's French. Their fans are kicking off massively over it. So that also was where I would be uncomfortable. Is if we started just rinsing Nice. There's no way we should be doing that to that football club. I wouldn't agree with it. Lies Guy still sometimes says St. James's Park. Well, it is St. James's Park again now. Giuseppe Meazza Stadium becomes Domino Pizza Arena.
Wait till the San Siro becomes the Pepperoni Arena. I want to see how more.
I hope Hassan keeps the same energy when Samsung offer him 10 mil to change. How do you pronounce it?
El Ahwa.
And to the Galaxy Football Show. Yeah, if you offered 10 million pounds to change the name of that show, would you do it, Hassan?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Galaxy Football Show. Make sure you guys
offer the guy £100 tomorrow. He's changing the name.
It's really funny, right? Because I see YouTubers sometimes that kick off and get really angry. People are sellouts when they have sponsors. And then suddenly I see them doing some work for Bleacher Report, or I see them with a bit of a Manscaped sponsor. And I just think, no, you're only angry because you don't get them. That's all it comes down to. The need for match day revenue is needed because financial fair play is across all spending of a club, not just buying and selling players. Every paperclip is counted. Source, I work for an EPL club. Listen, I hear you. Of course it is. Of course, every area. And that's why Man United are getting rid of a lot of people. Man United will run a little bit like Twitter were before Elon Musk came in. There's just too many staff doing nothing. Too many staff just doing nothing and not earning the club any money. And if you ain't earning or save, if you're not making a business money or saving it money, there is no point you being there. Like if you don't make your company money or save your company money, because both those things are important, you are almost, you're an inanimate object. You're like a stapler. You know what I mean? A paperclip's actually more useful than you at that workplace if you don't help save or make your company money. It's as simple as that. Moving on from this, I wanted to ask you all, boys, there's a big link today, and I want to read this out to you. Chelsea have made an inquiry to Newcastle for Alexander Isak. The conversations have taken place between the clubs. The Swedish striker would cost over £100 million. Now, I want to be really fair, because we know they've just gone and done this deal for Mark, I think it's Guiu, I think it's pronounced. And everybody's laughing at Chelsea, and I don't think that's right. Everybody's getting mad because they're after all these young kids. They have now gone and made an inquiry for one of the best strikers in the Premier League, probably one of the best strikers in Europe. We know they've spent big before, they could spend big again. Surely this is exactly now what Chelsea need to be doing. Yes, they bought some youngsters, but he's available at £115 million. He guarantees them goals. If they go and do this, surely this would be the sort of the move that signifies a huge change in direction under Todd Bowley and co.
Go ahead, Mo.
Okay, what Terry said is right. If they go and do this, right? This is the piece they need. We all screamed experience and everything, but I'm just gonna tell you one thing. You all Chelsea fans sat on shows and on Twitter and here on our chat and said, you guys don't know. We walked away from Olise because we don't want to break our wage structure. Do you think Alexander Isak is going to go to Chelsea and make 80K a week? He's definitely going to ask for more money than everyone else. So what now? What do you say now? If he goes to, and you said you don't want to pay the money, you don't want to do that, you don't want to break everything, you don't want to break the bank for Olise, but you are willing to break it for Isak now? That just proves that your owners are wrong, and Olise literally rejected the club. Olise just thought that I don't want to join Chelsea, I'm going to join Bayern Munich. So that all of you Chelsea fans, and I'm just talking to you, and you know who you are, who said that, no, we rejected Olise, read the thing, aka Ziad, we rejected Olise because we didn't want to pay him the wages. He is on 120K now. I just Googled it, by the way, weekly. He's on 120K now. And at the current moment, if you go and sign this guy, and I'm not saying you're going to do, if you go and sign this guy, that just proves you brief in the media, it's just lies. That Olise didn't want to join your club. If you go and do that, it's a good business. I'll praise you for it. But I'm just going to say it as it is. You're going to be, your owners are lying. And the media, all what you said are just lies. But to be honest with you, I actually want to see him at Chelsea. Mo, this is my opinion. I want to see what Isak can do with Cole Palmer. I want to see what Isak can do with Nkunku. I want to see what Isak can do with these guys. Because I think genuinely, I see what Terry's saying. This is going to be very positive for Chelsea. This is Chelsea to the next level. This is Chelsea now moving into the right direction. For all these FFP things that you do, flip for profit FC, flip for profit club, now this is a different story. I want to see him at Chelsea, to be honest. I don't know what Husam thinks about that.
Isak's not going Chelsea, my brother. Isak's not going Chelsea. Let's just stop waffling. That's just not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. Because if their logic for Olise is Premier League, level wages, then they're going to have to play Premier League level wages for Isak too. Why do you think they're linked with Jonathan David? I researched his asking point, his current wages. He currently earns 27 grand at Lille. I saw Bayer's wages. His wages is also 13 grand at wherever the hell he plays in Germany. So, yeah, the reality is they ain't going to sign Isak. It's just not going to happen. I think this just financially goes against the plan. I think the quicker Chelsea fans realize their club are genuinely in the mud, the happier they'll be. I think it's funny because every time I have a conversation with a Chelsea fan, they always accuse me of trolling, and they always accuse me of, you just hate us and you're jealous. Someone in the chat is going to mention Lavia and Caicedo because they always say the same repetitive, robotic shit as per usual. Okay, khalas, I'm jealous of Lavia and Caicedo. One guy, we didn't see him all year long. The other guy, half your fan base say Gallagher's the best midfielder. Like, come on, stop lying to yourself. You ain't getting at Isak. Jonathan David is your level. Now, if you do sign him, of course, it'll be an incredible signing. We'll give Chelsea credit. But for me, I look at this situation, and I do not see any conclusion in which Isak starts up front for Chelsea next season. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I mean, if a club like Arsenal can't get him, club like City, Liverpool, these clubs can't get him, then Chelsea definitely can't get him. So I expect Chelsea to sign at their size, at their level, which is Jonathan David, Bayer, someone like that, another kid, to add to Guyu and Estevao and the other random kid they signed as well. So big up the Chelsea youth project.
I understand where you're coming from, but where I disagree, this whole Chelsea can't do it. Nobody thought Chelsea would pull off Enzo. Nobody thought they would pull off Caicedo, especially when Liverpool put that big bid in. They then went and got Lavia. I still think Chelsea have got pull. I still think Chelsea can attract the right talent. I understand what Mo said, that it would potentially prove that they got rejected, but then a lot of Chelsea fans admitted that. Ches came on and said, I think that's PR. I don't believe us. I think we just got rejected and we've got to move on from it and whatever else. But the fact that they've put they know how much it's going to cost because it's very public. Yes. The fact they've put the inquiry in it's interesting for me because the one thing I would say is this: we've all heard the conversations and many have laughed at Chelsea for saying you spent a billy and you've got potential, but you've got no one substantial that is like the guy now. You could probably argue that Palmer is, but no one knew that when they bought him because of his age, right? And lack of experience. But suddenly now they're going to go, right, we're going to keep spending, but we are going to go and get an Isak. They've already bought Tosin in, who I think is very good, but he was free. So I sort of look at it through the lens of we're all saying as Chelsea fans, you've got to go and get players like Isak. And as soon as they're linked to him, we go, you're not going to get him. And I almost feel maybe they won't land him.
But they aren't going to get him.
But this is exactly what they should be trying to do. So look, whether they get him or not is, to me, because I'm not a Chelsea fan, is a little bit irrelevant. This shows their intent. If they're going after players like him, it shows they're not just trying to sign these young up-and-coming talents. They're also going to go and try to get themselves real top quality as well. And I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they'll be putting inquiries in and bidding for players like Isak for PR. They will genuinely be trying to sign them. I really do think
100%. But I want to
Oh,
ask
Terry, why did Olise reject Chelsea?
because he preferred Bayern Munich.
He preferred Bayern Munich. Okay, so it has nothing to do with the wages and the money.
Well, I'm looking at it this way. I agree. If they're really inquiring about Isak, then they got rejected for Elise.
Yes, thank you.
And that's what I've said all along. I said all along. There's either a financial issue there where they're not going to pay over 150 grand a week for anybody, or they're pushing that out as PR as an excuse when they get rejected. It was always one of those two things. And what we said on that first show when it was announced last week when Elise was coming to Bayern is if Chelsea then go for other players that are going to cost similar amounts of money in wages, then we know they got rejected. If, though, everybody they sign this summer, it comes in on 50, 60 grand a week, then that's what I said to Chelsea fans. That's more worrying, in my opinion, than being rejected.
Yeah. I actually think if they go for, I don't care if they, like, if I'm a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't care if I get rejected or not. I want my club to go and sign Eze. I want my club to go and try to negotiate for Eze. Like this notion of like, I have to be right and I have to defend my club. I don't do that. All I care about at the end, if I'm a Chelsea fan, is that at the end, I want to sit there and have Isak as my striker. I don't care if it's Olise on the right. I don't care. I want to have Isak on. And this is what I want to talk about. Why would Isak leave Newcastle to go to Chelsea? Do we think in the future Chelsea are more lucrative? If Isak, this is my point now. And you know, guys, when you both were talking, all what came to my mind is that, well, if Newcastle don't have to sell now and they fix their PSR problems by the small deals or whatever things they did, why would Isak leave? I understand if Isak leaves Newcastle to go to Arsenal now, who are in the Champions League, challenging for the league title, if he even goes to Liverpool, Man City. But I keep asking myself one question. This is the only thing. Why would Isak leave Newcastle United and go to Chelsea now? This is not 5 years ago.
So you're saying Newcastle are more attractive than Chelsea?
No, I am asking you, do you think that? I actually don't know.
No, you have to make that statement. Don't ask
I
me.
actually think that if you look at the next 5 years, if Newcastle are able to sign players, right? I think Newcastle, with the ownership they have and the money they have, I think Newcastle can be on the trajectory to be better than Chelsea Football Club. In a place better than Chelsea. If they don't sell the Isaks, if they go and get the wingers they are linked to, the Gordon is there. Now Bruno Guimaraes is staying. This is their superstar, whatever. They get their injuries back. They sign defenders. Why are we assuming that Chelsea? I genuinely think, I don't think at the current moment Chelsea are that more attractive than Newcastle United. I don't see it until Maresca does his job and prove that he's a competent manager. I think Newcastle still look at to be in the better. Both are in PSR problems. I'm looking at them now. Both are in PSR problems. Both need to solve their finances. But at the end, the owners of, if you're asking me who are the owners I want to be with, I want to be with the Saudis.
But why don't you say that when I was arguing for Olise should go to Man United, you bozo? When I said I trust Dan Ashworth and Barada more than I trust Boli and Iqbali.
Because I don't trust these guys yet.
And you just said the same thing for Newcastle and Chelsea.
I'm going to answer you because I don't trust these guys yet. Don't call me a hypocrite.
See,
let me answer. Don't call me a hypocrite.
Don't
call me a hypocrite. Don't call me a hypocrite. Okay? Let me answer.
Are we gonna have another fallout here? Someone else leaving?
Let me.
Go ahead, Mo.
Okay, basically, I don't trust these guys. That Dan Ashworth. Yeah, the reason why, because for Mo, and I'm speaking on my behalf. My this is my opinion. Their first decision of keeping Ten Hag is the wrong decision. So I am not a man. I'm not giving them a leeway. I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt that their first decision is wrong for Mo. So it's completely different. But Newcastle United, the Saudis, and I definitely trust the Saudis and the money they have to invest in the club more than Jim Ratcliffe. So that's just to answer Husam. He wants to take
I understand where you're coming from.
The Man United
I understand where you're coming from. The one thing I'd say about Chelsea, I'm going to defend Chelsea here. It hasn't been a good 2 years. but they are still more attractive right now than Newcastle. They have a greater and richer history. And even though it's been 2 bad years for Chelsea, only one of those seasons has been significantly better for Newcastle. Chelsea, this is what I'd be saying to Isak. We have had a few bad years, but we've got this new manager that's going to make us play X, Y, and Z way. Got these youngsters who are all going to be a year older. We've invested in Tosin, and we're going to invest in you. We believe your goal-scoring prowess. I mean, if they had Isak last season and Isak was scoring at the same rate it was for Newcastle, they may have made the Champions League, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. Someone like Isak going into Chelsea and scoring 25 league goals, maybe 30, 35 goals in all comps, could be the difference between 6th and a Champions League spot, and the difference between no trophies and a trophy. And then you build on that again. I think that Chelsea are in this position, and I know that a lot of their fans, I think, have sort of said, and I just disagree with the Chelsea fans slightly, it's okay to keep just buying youngsters and potential, and it will eventually develop into a brilliant team. There's no precedent for that. There's zero precedent for a top team in a very hard league, one of the best leagues in the world, predominantly having young, up-and-coming talent as its core and its spine that is developed into one of the best teams in that league and one of the best teams in Europe. You need that mixture of those youthful, exuberant young talents with an established core. And I look at Tosin, and then you look at players like Isak. Maybe you throw one more player in there through the middle, maybe a goalkeeper of some sort, and suddenly you have this spine that they can grow from. They're not going to build that spine in one summer. It might take them 2 summers to do that. But I think you can sell that to a player like Isak. Now, there's still a risk for Isak. Of course there is. He might go there. It doesn't work. They come 8th, and it's like, wow, I'm just committed to 5 years here.
Yeah, but Dani, are you seeing the signs of what you're talking about? Are the signs there? The first part you just spoke about. The signs are signing, Guyu, Estevao, Paez, Tosin.
No. The first signing was Tosin. And where we've got to defend Chelsea and be consistent is none of our clubs are signing anybody, because there's 2 major tournaments on right now, Copa America and the Euros. So the majority of signings have slowed down. They tried to get Sesko. Yes. They tried to get Elise. Now, they're both young, but they kind of come into that category of relatively experienced young players. Does that make sense? They're not sort of 19 years old with 4 games to their name. They're experienced individuals, even though they're young. Everybody else is at the Euros, and it's hard to get done. So I don't think that's the one thing where I sided with the Chelsea fans in this whole debate is no one else has done any business yet because of the Euros and Copa America, yet we're judging Chelsea's summer because of a couple of young signings. Where I challenge Chelsea fans, and they may get these 2 things twisted, is when they say, this is what I want, buying youngsters, it will work. I'm like, no, you can't just be settling for that. But I think they're going after someone like Isak is right. And I don't mean this to be disrespectful to Newcastle fans, because I believe that your owners are going to make you a very, 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 very good team. But I still think at this juncture, at this moment in 2024, Chelsea is still a more appetizing prospect than a Newcastle. I really, really do believe that. It may not be forever, but right now, 2 poor years for Chelsea hasn't made them less desirable than Newcastle, less desirable than Spurs or Aston Villa. They're still Chelsea Football Club, and I think we need to be respectful of that.
Mo, do you still think Newcastle are more attractive?
I didn't say that. I said in the future. Alexander Isak is 24 years old. He's looking for 2, 3, 4 years. Who do you think is going to be in a better place? I actually think that in 4 years, I think Newcastle will be in a better place than Chelsea. Unless the Premier League. Okay, here's the thing, which is there's a big caveat here, right? Unless the Premier League puts more restriction on Newcastle spending, and now they are limited, and the Saudis are not going to be able to invest or do anything. And I'm not going to say legally or illegally, unless Newcastle are being strangled and they can't evolve, and they can't invest in the squad, and they can't do that. If they are allowed to spend, if they are allowed to do stuff, right, and if they are allowed to get deals and things like that, I think 4 years from now, I genuinely think Newcastle might be in a better place than Chelsea.
Premier League champions, possibly.
I actually think as well they might be better than a lot of clubs, because I think the will of I said that many times before, the will of the Arabs to win, okay, is bigger than the will of the Arabs to make the money, win or lose money. They have genuine desire to win. You can call it whatever you want to call it. We all know that, and I think That is one of the reasons why the Arab owners, like what Man United wanted the Qataris, because their will of winning and they win. That is the thing. Now, I think that Saudis would want to win more than Clear Lake, more than Tootboli. They would go the extra mile to win. They would be willing to lose money.
I agree with you. For me, the problem is with Boli and Iqbali. That's where I see the problem, because they're making many rash decisions. As soon as they sacked Poch, you realize the club's not serious. I'll be honest with you. Giving Maresca a 5-year contract, it's just there's too much risk. And here's the thing: is Isak willing to put his career at risk? Because he's 24. This next move is very important for him, because the next move is going to be where his prime is. That's one thing me and Mo agree on. Like, if you move now at 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, that's your prime. Your next 5 years are your prime, where you're going to bang in goals, where you're going to be the guy. Even, you know, let's say he has big aspirations and dreams of winning a Ballon d'Or. You cannot do that at Chelsea. The way that they're Boli and Iqbali are just absolute, you know, it's just so foolish. It's just so foolish the way.
But don't you think if they're moving to Isak, they are moving into the right direction?
Yes, if they sign Isak, of course. Because, by the way, people think me and you have a Chelsea agenda, and I see it in the chat. They're always crying. When Chelsea signed Tosin Adarabioyo, me and you spent half an hour on the show complimenting them. So we recognize that there are good decisions that Chelsea could make, but it's about whether they make those decisions or not. But in reverse, I am not going to sit up here and go like, wow, you signed Mark Guiu and you signed Estevao. I'm not going to do that, because here's the thing. Let's assume Chelsea signed 10 talents. Right? By the way, last year they signed David Washington and like 2 other guys. We ain't even seen them. So this Estevao copium is very funny. So let's say they signed let's say they signed 8 youngsters, okay? I'm going to be very generous. I'm going to say 3 of them work. Okay, the 5 that don't work, then what? And the 3 that work, maybe one guy wants to leave to Real Madrid 3 years after. Maybe one guy wants to make the next move. Maybe one of them is loyal out of the 3. Like this, these are the conversations that whenever you expand on it. And by the way, people, and I have to say this, Terry, because I realize this. People actually hate the messenger, not the message. Me and Mo, we have the Chelsea fans by the you-know-what. I'm not going to say it because I don't want your stream demonetized. But we have the Chelsea fans by the you-know-what. But when I walk into the Chelsea YouTube videos and I walk into the Chelsea spaces, the Chelsea fans are actually saying the same stuff that we're saying. You know what they're saying? We've had enough of this young talent. We want experienced players. We want players who could take us to the next level. Now, I recognize what Terry said is true. It's only 26th June. So there's still July, there's still August. 100%. In 60 days, you could sign 60 players if you wanted to. I understand that. What I'm saying is, look, based on everything that they're doing, the conclusion I can come up with, based on the information that we know now, is that Chelsea are not headed in the right direction for the here and now. Maybe they have their future sorted, but short term, it might not look that good.
In 2008, from 2012, 13, 14, I believe at that time, we saw Manchester City creeping up, right? Creeping up. And if you sit today and you tell me which club is more attractive, Chelsea or Manchester City, even though Chelsea have a much bigger fan base, it is Manchester City without a shadow. None of us, do any of us think that Chelsea are more attractive than Man City at the current moment? When in the last year, the last 3 years, the last 4 years?
Right now, of course, Man City is more attractive. Yes.
What about 5 years ago?
Man City.
Exactly. That's the point. It's all about how the club is going. If Newcastle are going into the right direction, right? I think maybe Newcastle are in that direction. What is stopping them? FFP, PSR, all of this. But if Newcastle invest right, they fix their stadium and all this stuff. And I genuinely think that Newcastle can surpass them because of the ownership. Because of the ownership.
That was the same thing logic I used for Man United. That's it. For me.
Just very quickly, guys, so some breaking news that's come out. Phil Foden has temporarily left the England camp at Euro 2024 and returned to the UK for what the FA have confirmed is a pressing family matter. So a few people in the comments saying that he's left the camp. Let's get this factually right. He has temporarily left the camp for a pressing family matter. We have no idea what that means. Hopefully everybody is well, everybody is safe, everybody is in good health. And we wish all the best to Phil Foden because, of course, family is far more important than football. But hopefully he'll be back and, strong and everything will be okay. Super Chat here says Chelsea have only have Paul because they offered 8-year contracts with big money. Why did Lavia sign for a club who had just signed a player for 100 mil that plays in the same position? Just for the 8 years money. Look, I think,
Tony, I have to say, this is an elite super chat. I'll tell you why. There's something called in life, and this is not just a football thing. There's something in life called job security. I'm 21 and I have an 8-year contract. I'm going to get paid till I'm 29. It doesn't matter if I'm injured. It doesn't matter if I play like crap. It doesn't matter if I play like shit. It doesn't matter if I leave or not. I'm still going to get that 8 years worth of money. So that is a very solid point. Even if Chelsea, offered 10 grand less than Liverpool or whatever, the length of the contract matters. Because if I give you an 8-year contract, that means you're literally sorted for the next 8 years, which is a big deal for these football players, because they know the lifespan of a football player is very short. One injury could be doomsday. So yeah, I agree with the super chat right here. People completely ignore the length always.
I get where the super chat is coming from, but I don't think it's the only reason. I don't think the only reason is job security. I do think that the players believe they've got a chance of achieving something. I wouldn't put it all down to money, but I really do appreciate the super chat. Sam, you're just a Chelsea hater. Stop the hate and move on from Lavia and Caicedo rejections. Anytime you hear Chelsea, you're quick to be negative. Wait for a D-dunk.
I know everything you've got to say against me. It's just, I said it at the start. Big up 8 Mile, Eminem, my favorite rapper. I just said it at the start, yes. I've seen it in the chat. Wallahi, you Chelsea fans are more predictable than a Man City attack. It's just the same shit over and over again. We get it. You're jealous of Lavia and Caicedo. You're annoyed that you got rejected, blah, blah, blah. Khalas, I should come here and go like, yo, Mark Guiu, fantastic signing. Estevao is going to be the next Messi. Paez is going to be the next Cristiano. That's it. Chelsea are settled for the next 5 years. Shut the hell up, Mickey. Honestly, you've just been following me everywhere, waffling. You're going to finish below us next season. You're going to be irrelevant again next year. The same bozo is going to be Maresca out by December. I promise you. Mickey, come back to Daddy in December. I remember this.
Laddie here. Long time no see, Laddie. He says that if Chelsea sign Isak, all piggy will fly. Sorry for yawning.
Why?
Sorry, I didn't mean to yawn.
Because,
Sorry.
Olise didn't happen, and it's a much smaller level than Isak.
So why are they chasing Isak?
You do know what Newcastle said.
Okay, so I get what you're saying, and I'm not saying it's going to happen.
They said we'll pick up the phone at 1:50.
You know what you're saying, Husam? You're saying that Chelsea are playing games with the fans and the media.
First of all, I don't know what the source is for the Isak news. So we don't
the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail.
But I always believe that there is no smoke, Husam, without fire. As I'm gonna tell, if Chelsea
can I tell you the fire, Isak new contract at Chelsea in Newcastle. That's the fire.
I mean, it's from Simon Jones and Craig Hope, though. They're pretty well connected at Chelsea. So especially Simon Jones.
Yeah. So, there is no smoke with it. There has to be a contact with the agent, and inquire about the possibility of him joining Chelsea. So basically, there is something around Isak that Chelsea have inquired
about Isak Mo is like me inquiring about Rihanna. Let's not do this.
Okay, but why would they inquire about him?
No, that's not. No,
it's not gonna happen. It's under 50 million.
Sam, I'm sorry to burst your bubble here. You are not. If we're giving out looks and attractiveness as football clubs, you ain't Chelsea, bro. You're like Plymouth.
No, I'm not Plymouth. No,
you're like Plymouth. All right, okay, I'll give you a championship team.
I'm not gonna let my ego. I'm not gonna let my ego get in the way, But I listen. I'm not gonna pull up screenshots right now. But let's not go there. Let's stick to football. Let's stick to football. You get me? Let's keep it to Chelsea. I just don't think Isak and Chelsea is a thing. I really don't think.
You don't think it's actually a link? This is very strange.
No, I don't think it'll happen. Isak is a level above Chelsea.
Hold on. Husam, there is a difference because there is different conversation. I don't want to dwell on this. You know my question, Husam. Really, well, you're a smart guy.
This is the same guy that 10 minutes ago said Newcastle are more attractive.
Wait. Okay, what does this have to do with my question? You don't think there is a link at all, or you don't think it will happen? There are two different things, by the way. These are two different things. Husam, what are you looking at?
The same club that couldn't pay Olise's wages is the same club that will buy Isak.
Why would they inquire about Isak then?
Listen, you can inquire. There's nothing. They can inquire about Mo Salah tomorrow. What does that mean? Nothing.
I think the only way they can
No,
do it.
Newcastle said they'll pick up the phone at 150. Stop it. Stop lying to these Chelsea fans. Stop gaslighting them.
And I'm not. But the reported fee is 150 million pounds.
Do you think Chelsea can sign Isak? Yes or no?
If he wants to move, yes.
So you think Chelsea will pay 150 million?
If they convince
115.
If they convince Isak for the project, yes, why not? And if they offer him more wages than Newcastle, why not? What is stopping Chelsea? Okay, Husam. Why is stopping Chelsea from going to Isak?
The project.
Okay, so you agree with me that Newcastle are more attractive than Chelsea?
Yes, the project-wise,
okay.
100%. Project-wise, of course, I don't trust the Chelsea project. Why would I move?
So Newcastle are more attractive than Chelsea.
As a project, of course. I trust my career in the hands of Saudis.
Mickey here says Madueke and Broya with 40 million for Isak can get the deal done.
So you call me a Chelsea hater, and then you do something that's done on FIFA. Oh, you can have Broya and Madueke. Oh, yes, I'm sure Newcastle will say yes to Broya and Madueke. What a dumbass.
Don Plymouth, that could be your new name. So if by some wild chance Chelsea finish above Liverpool, will you be Slot and Michael Edwards out? You're already Slot out, aren't you? Pretty much.
No, I'm not. I'm not gonna say those two words ever again. It is what it is. But when it comes to Liverpool, listen, we'll see what happens in the transfer window.
What would you say if Chelsea finish above Liverpool? I want to get a straight answer from you. Be a man and answer. Be a man and answer it.
It's a disaster.
It's a disaster. That's it.
Yeah, 100%. It's a disaster.
After all what you said, and Mariska
there is no way we finish below that shit club. Trust me.
If Chelsea finish above Liverpool, you have to.
I've already made a bet, by the way, but you just didn't.
I know you're gonna dye your hair blue and just sing Chelsea songs. That's not enough, Habibi.
What do you mean that's not enough? What do you want?
It's so easy. You can put mascara in your hair and that's it, bro.
Mascara's on the eye, not the hair, Mo.
You're not allowed to have tattoos, are you, Sam?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay, it's a shame because it's a shame because if it wasn't against your religion, I'd never ask you to do something against your religion. Then you can get a Chelsea tattoo on your leg. That would be great.
Yeah, I would be so confident I'd do that if it was allowed. That's how.
Yeah. I hear you. I didn't think you
Mo
were.
Salah's better than all their forwards. Van Dijk's better than all their defenders. Trent's better than all their fullbacks. McAllister, Allison. Like I have about 5 players that are gonna win me 60 points by themselves. So I'm not worried about no Chelsea. Chelsea are
even if they sign Isak.
Chelsea are underneath my feet when it comes.
Even if they sign Isak.
I'm worried about City and Arsenal. I'm not worried about Chelsea. Chelsea are nobodies compared to me.
Speaking of Arsenal, big report today, and I want to make sure I read this out word for word.
Big up the biggest club in London, Arsenal. Let's go, TWERK. Go on. Now we're talking serious club.
Trolling Chelsea fans, you do, don't you? It's stated by, I want to get his name right, by Simon Phillips, who is, fairly well connected. Chelsea fans find him to be credible. It says that Arsenal are seriously interested in signing Eze. Pretty much every top club in Europe is looking and considering the player, including Chelsea and Liverpool, but it's Arsenal who are pushing the most for Eze right now. Now, that's come from Simon Phillips, who is predominantly a Chelsea connect, and he's very credible when it comes to Chelsea. But I think he's obviously talking about it from a Chelsea perspective, but he's probably been asked a question around how are we getting on, and he's mentioned Arsenal. So he's been given that information, and we know that Arsenal are linked to Nico Williams at the minute. We know that they're linked to Eucharist and some strikers. And I do see certain Arsenal fans online tweeting all the time, we ain't getting no one, we're working on no one, the media's making it up. And I do feel sorry for them. I just think, firstly, I worry about your personal life, how sad you must be. Well, of course, you're looking at multiple options because you might not get Eze, you might not get Nico Williams. But imagine only looking at one player, you don't get them, and then you're left flat-footed and you can't buy no one else. But Eze, he hasn't really featured much for England, but he's been a superb talent. How good a business do you think that would be, Husam? Or do you think they should go and get Nico Williams? Because I don't see them buying both personally, but if they were to go for one of those two, which one do you think they should be investing in?
Listen, this is Arsenal moving in the right direction if they sign Eze. I think Eze is definitely a difference maker. He would definitely make a difference for Arsenal. I think he's the type of guy. It will be interesting, actually, whether they play him left or play him in the 8. I think that's the real option, that kind of the dilemma that Arteta has, because he could go Rice, Eze, and Odegaard, and he could also go Rice, whoever, Odegaard, and then play Eze on the left. I think Eze is very good. He's a fantastic signing for Arsenal. Attractive club, most attractive club in London. If I'm a football player right now, I'd love to go to play to Arsenal. It's just incredible right now. The manager over there, the stability that they have. They don't have an ownership that changes the manager every 3 minutes. There's continuity. You will get chances. You'll get opportunities to thrive. I think Eze would absolutely ball out at Arsenal. I mean, Arteta has shown the ability to consistently improve players. You know, Declan Rice improved this season. Gabriel, who was looked at as a mockery, is now looked at as one of the best centre-backs in the league. Same thing with Saliba. Wasn't a mockery, but like he obviously has improved him. He improved, a lot of players at Arsenal. I expect Arsenal to challenge for the league next season. I expect them to really cook next season. And, you know, in order for them to cook, to be honest with you, they need to make signings like these. I think now one thing we can learn lessons from the past is this is something kind of Man United used to do, which is kind of just sign the talented players from the league itself. Sometimes helps propel you to that level in the league ahead of, you know, signing someone from you know, a different club or etc. Unless Arsenal want Kimmich as an example. That one, no Arsenal fan or any of us will go like, that's a bad signing. That's a elite signing. So for me, I think Arsenal need to aim in that bracket. You know, someone who's just kind of like a level below world class, that's ready to make the next move to world class. So yeah, I think Arsenal will be very dangerous next season, but they need to sign someone who could put the ball in the back of the net. And actually heard Henry Wright's argument on the Top 6 show, where he was saying they scored a whole lot of goals. Maybe they need the goals from midfield. Maybe they need goals from elsewhere. And to be honest, that's a valid point. You know, maybe Eze could score those 15 goals that Arsenal need. You know, get those 15 assists that Arsenal need. So I expect Arsenal to be dangerous next season. They need to be a bit more serious in the transfer window. You know, it's funny, we spoke on Isak. Isak would be exactly what the doctor ordered for Arsenal, in my opinion. And, you know, he should call Arsenal and try and make the move to them. But yeah, I think Eze will be a fantastic signing. But here's the thing, Eze cannot alone be the signing, because I look at this summer for Arsenal, and this reminds me of ourselves when we signed Alisson and Van Dijk. You kind of need that level player right now. Like, and do I put Eze in that bracket? Probably a bracket below, but you need someone to get Arsenal to that next level. And those are the level of signings that they need, Terry. That's why, Terry, at the start of the window, people thinking, oh my God, Husam TWERKs for Arsenal. At the start of the window, when you asked me Zubimendi, I said, no, that wouldn't be a good signing for Arsenal at all. Me and you had an argument about it. I said, listen, I don't like signings like this because Arsenal don't need that right now. But when you tell me Eze, that's immediate improvement straight away, knows the league, knows the teams, knows all of that. So yeah, I think Arsenal will be dangerous next season. But they need to get these over the line, though, because it cannot just be linked and linked and linked and linked. And if I'm in Eze's place, and this is another thing, I know Spurs really want him, you know, and I know a lot of clubs really want him. I'm not trying to, if I'm Eze, if I'm Olise, if I'm any of these players, Isak, respectfully, I'm not trying to move to any of these clubs. I'm trying to move to Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Bayern, you know, Real Madrid, Barcelona. I'm trying to move to the best of the best. It's just how it goes, bro. Like, I'm not trying to. Why should Eze go to Spurs? Fucking ruin his career. Go to Arsenal. It's a lot better.
Why you're simping to Arsenal fan that much, bro? Like, it's all
how am I
bad.
simping?
You're a Liverpool fan, bro.
Don't use buzzwords. Tell me what thing I said.
Seriously, oh
no,
my
I'm gonna
God,
keep interrupting you until you tell me what I said.
You shouldn't. Are you gonna keep interrupting me and not
yes.
let me talk?
What did I say that's
the
simping?
Arsenal are doing good.
Because you're behaving like Maradona in the chat.
Oh my God. Habibi, just let us talk, Habibi. You spoke for like 3 minutes and added nothing. You said Arsenal are good and everything, and you added nothing to the conversation.
So he asked me, what do you think of the Eze signing? I think it's fantastic from the
Habibi, it's okay.
It's fantastic from the club side. They need more signings like this.
Should we leave? Should we leave that? Should we? This Arsenal section is Husam's section now. Are you a Liverpool fan or an Arsenal fan?
An Inter Milan.
Are you Liverpool? Are you a Liverpool fan or an Arsenal fan now? Are you a Liverpool fan or Arsenal fan now? Are you can I just answer?
Eze would be a horrible signing. Apparently, this what Mo was. Eze would be a horrible signing. He's crap, and he shouldn't move to Arsenal.
Like, I actually, if Eze is gonna go to Arsenal and start, yes. Does Eze go to Arsenal? Does Eze go to Arsenal and start?
Of course he does.
If they have Thomas Partey, Rice, and Odegaard, does he start?
Of course he starts. He either starts in the 8 or on the left wing. Stop waffling.
He's not a left wing. He's not a left wing. I like Eze. I like how he plays football. I think he's a top talent. But he's not guaranteed a starter. But he's not guaranteed a start at Arsenal. Why would he go to Arsenal and sit on the bench? Because they have Trossard, they have Martinelli, they have still Thomas Partey.
Hang on.
So
But then, hang on. But then, why does anybody, unless you are getting Mbappe going to Real Madrid, then why would Camavinga and Tchouameni have signed for Real Madrid? They weren't guaranteed to get into the first team at that point.
Oh, they
why did Savio sign for City?
They were 20 years old. There is a difference. There's 20.
Okay, I understand that, but I think the logic remains the same. This is what you want. You want someone that maybe isn't guaranteed a first team place to go, I want to come in there and prove I'm a first teamer. That is what makes a squad and team better.
Thank you.
100%.
If you sign players who are like, I'm happy just to be on the bench, you ain't progressing. Because I think Arsenal have a number of players at the moment that are really happy to earn 50, 60, 70, 80k a week sitting on that bench when they're very rarely called upon. They need someone that's going to come in there and rock the apple cart professionally and say, well, I know I'm gonna listen. I know Arsenal fans, some are still a little bit attached to their players. If Eze comes in and benches Odegaard and is better than Odegaard and they become a better team, trust me, proper Arsenal fans won't care. There'll be a few agenda merchants that will push agendas, but it shouldn't matter. Eze makes Arsenal's first 11 better. He makes their squad better. They're going to play 50 to 60 games this forthcoming season. Of course he could go there. And when you consider the other team that are pushing for him quite hard has been Spurs, and the reason why I believe there's some validity to this story, just some validity, doesn't mean it's nearly done, doesn't mean it's close, but some validity, is Spurs' press, as in the Alistair Golds, have all been saying in the last week, according to Henry Wright, he told me, he reads it all, that Spurs are looking elsewhere and Spurs have called their interest. And that is generally sort of the transfer slang for fuck. We ain't going to get him over this club.
We got rejected.
We've got to lay the PR now so we can move on to somebody else. And listen, I think he'd be a phenomenal signing. Like, I like the thing is, I'm a little biased because I like what I've seen of Nico Williams at the Euros, but I have only watched him play at the Euros and a couple of other games. I haven't watched enough of him to have as rounded an opinion. However, they both do play different positions. Eze can play on the left. But he's predominantly a more central player. So I think that it's interesting what Arsenal are doing, but I like what they're doing. I like that because they're in a position to do it. And this is why I've had many an argument on Straight Facts.
Are you going to say Terry's simping as well, Mo?
Well, you may look at it this way. Me and Lee Gunner have had this argument before many times, and I understand.
So it's not new.
I'm just being honest. Everyone's used to it. Me and Lee Gunner had these arguments. I don't know if you boys remembered, where it was sort of like Lee would typically judge every club through the same lens, and I understand there's logic to that and there's validity to it. My sense is that you can't judge Arsenal summer versus Man United summer purely on the types of people we both sign, because their clubs are in different scenarios, situations, and in different places right now. So you have to apply context. Arsenal are in a position where they're going, right, if we can't get a number one striker, we'll go for maybe our number one target on the wings. Can't get a number one target on the wings, we'll go for our number one target to bolster our attacking midfield area. And it may not be that they sign each of those positions, but they're going for number one targets that improve specific areas that they want to improve. And that's a really, really comfortable place to be in as a football club. And look, they've got to land some names, but I think names and people like Eze's, like Williams, like Gyökeres's, I think if they sign players like this, and by the way, a lot of these players are not even that expensive. You could actually, you could sign both. Spitball in here, but you could sign both. Both are available for about £50 million. £100 million. £100 million on Nico Williams and Eze. Surely that is phenomenal business.
Yeah, it's great. It looks great on the table. I think actually they need to sign a striker as well. I still think Arsenal need a striker.
I don't think they do with those two. I don't think they do if they sign those two.
You think Kai Havertz is good enough for them to lead? That's I never think that, and I'm not gonna sit here and think that. I think it's too much risk to rely on Kai Havertz as the main striker next season. Even if they sign Eze, I still think they need a striker. There is Antonio Conte said that Osimhen already agreed to leave. They need to go and get Osimhen, maybe get that Mikel Moreno guy, the 29 years old or 28 years old.
No, they don't need to get Osimhen. What's wrong with him, Mo? It doesn't fit the way they play at all.
Okay, we're going to talk about the way they play.
Hold
on. I still think they need. It doesn't have to be Osimhen. They might need a striker. And if Isak is available for 150 million, go and get Isak for me. I think Isak improved massively.
So
I think
I understand that.
And I get what you're saying, Terry, improving the midfield and improving the wing. But until I see Thomas Partey out of the door, because I believe if Thomas Partey stays and he stays fit, which is a big risk, I believe actually that midfield, right, is good enough. The Thomas Partey.
No, but Mo, that's where the problem lies.
Hold
if
on.
he stays fit.
Yes, let me just finish this point. Eze, for me, is gonna be a superstar if he signs for a top club. He's gonna be a superstar. But will Arteta play him over Rice, Odegaard, and Thomas Partey if they're fit? No. He's going to get other games. They're going to play 50, 60 games, yes? But he's going to play other games.
I think
I want the money to be used. If they have the money for the 3, that's completely fine. Like last summer, 200 million for Timber, Havertz, whatever. But I believe the priority should be in the forward line, in my opinion.
I understand. I do understand that logic. And I think it, again, I think it holds water, it holds validity. I think they just need this phrase gets thrown around a lot now, but I think they need players that can change games. Now, that could be a striker in a game where they're not really getting very many chances, the big Champions League not game, and there's that half a sniff and a player puts it into put it into the back of the net, boom, goal, great, that's brilliant. But like you said, Eze could come in and be a superstar. If Nico Williams keeps improving over the next couple of years, he could be a superstar. If you throw them in what they've already got, I believe they therefore then have enough talent to also achieve those same clutch moments. It just may not be from an out-and-out number 9. But I do hear where you're... I mean, when you look at those 3 players, Arsenal have had some summers recently where they spent 9 on 200 million. If it's really true that Eze is available for 50 to 60, people are sending it through to me now in a DM, about 45 million for Williams. So you're looking at 100 mil there. Could they spend 200 million, 210 million and get all 3?
They win the league.
I mean, this is when you actually start to deep it. When you start to deep it, if Arsenal were able to raise, they could probably raise 100 million in sales this summer. They could probably raise 100 million in sales. Therefore, I mean, I don't do net spend because I don't like the phrase. I don't like how it represents. But you raise 100 million through sales, there should be no reason. And this is what I would say, Arsenal having standards, there should be no reason why you don't try and go out and buy all 3 or players of that ilk. Because again, we're just naming them. If you could do that, I mean, that for a club like them, in the position they're in, you then have depth, you improve your first team, the level of goals you would then have in your side from a creative and putting it into the back of the net. And suddenly what it also does, you get the Martinellis and the Sakas going, oh, Jesus. I got to up my game. Odegaard, I got to up my game. So for me, looking at the prices there, I mean, that could represent some fantastic business. Just in terms of updates, by the way, Man United have put a £25 million bid in for Manuel Ugarte. That has gone in. And Fabrizio has announced while we've been talking that Osimhen is expected to leave Napoli this summer, and Antonio Conte has confirmed there is an agreement between the player and Napoli about his future, and the manager has said he's accepting of it. He knows he's basically going to leave. It's not something he's worried and concerned about. Also, I'm hearing reports since we've been live that AC Milan are very close to announcing a deal for Lukaku, which probably means Man United are getting Xerxes.
Yeah. Xerxes is not going to go to Milan. The agent doesn't want him to go to Milan. And I get why the agent doesn't want him to go to Milan, because of the resale value from Milan. He's not going to make money. It's just very obvious. He wants his player to go to Manchester United because he knows that if Manchester United sell the player in the future, he's going to make way more money. This Lukaku thing, I've read in the Calcio Mercato like yesterday about Milan want to get Lukaku for their forward line. And it depends how much money they pay, but that means there is a free wage at Chelsea, basically, because he pays a lot of money.
How the fuck is this guy going?
Big free wage.
By the way, how would Inter fans react to Lukaku suddenly now being at the big enemy?
We really, we don't care at all.
Don't say we, speak for the ultras. How would they react?
What would the ultras say?
They don't care.
It's not French. It's Italy,
I don't think anybody cares about Lukaku at the current moment. They really take him as a snake, as someone who asked to leave the club once, who kind of negotiated. And then for me, I have no Like, listen, Lukaku is good for us, but he's not like one of the legends at all at Inter. Like,
You know, Mo, what's funny about Lukaku? You go to his Wikipedia page, you see United, Chelsea, Inter, Roma, AC. You think he's R9, but like 3/4 of the people think he's crap. But that's the funny part.
So the guy lost us two European finals single-handedly, scored an own goal in the Europa League, and Pep Guardiola said that we won the Champions League because the opposition's player stopped the ball from going into our net.
Yeah, it's crazy. Safe here says the new Man United Stadium should be named the Ineos Arena. Do you know what's really funny? Like when you get owners, I now buy a lot of Ineos products here in the UK. You get like soaps and detergents for your clothes. Really good stuff. Like it's genuine, like quality stuff. Hand sanitizer. When I'm ever in a shop, if I see something that's got Ineos' name on there, I'll buy it. Like anything to help. Anything to help.
Supporting the club. He's supporting the new stadium.
I was supporting the owners. All I need to start buying stuff back from the club is to hear of and be told of a plan to get the Glazers out fully, and then I'll really back them. This here says, Husam, how will Chelsea get worse from last year because of the new coach?
Yes, because of the new coach, because of Todd Bowley, because of the idiots running your club. We already discussed this 100 times. Olivier.
Yeah. Sadiq here says, just here to support. Thank you very much, my guy. He says, big up Terry. Also, Standard FC said that Eddie is worthless, but will be sold for a good fee. Our club is well run. Yeah, I'm hearing they could get somewhere between 40 and 50 million. Again, if you get 40 and 50 million for him, say you get 20 off for Vieira, 20, 25 million for Reece Nelson, there is no reason why you don't go and sign 3 players like Eze, Williams, and then Smith Rowe will be on the way out. Imagine getting rid of those 3 players. Imagine getting rid of Smith Rowe, Vieira, and Nketiah, and bringing in Isak, Williams, and Eze. That's a ridiculous upgrade. Honestly, bro. That's like Husam leaving and bringing in ISO Speed. Do you know what I mean? It's the upgrade. I'd rather talk football with you than ISO Speed, to be fair. Have you heard Phil Foden has left the England camp? Yeah, we spoke about that earlier, Joe, and just wishing him and his family the best, and hope everybody is well and safe and in a good condition. How far will Italy go in the Euros?
I actually think it all depends. I think Italy will face Netherlands or England unless Switzerland do the
This guy is waffling. Stop waffling.
I think listen, I think Italy, I'm gonna speak with Chet. I think Italy will be in the final.
Okay, bro. Okay.
I think Italy will be.
Just so you know, you're losing to Switzerland. This whole Italy story ends now for you, just so you know. Switzerland is going to be your last.
I think the most Spain makes is the quarterfinal, and then they get knocked out, and then Sam will be sitting on the show crying.
Spain are winning the Euros, Habibi. We're winning it all.
Germany are going to go through, and
we're winning it all. We're destroying Germany.
Germany, France, or Germany, Portugal in the semi-final, and
watch how Rodri locks up Musiala. Watch.
Rodri locks up Musiala. You're simply Man City players. Yeah.
Big up Spain. Viva España, viva La Roja.
We'll see how it goes. But one of the things about Arsenal is this Mikel Merino thing. I genuinely think they should sign that guy. I don't get this Arsenal players. I don't get this Arsenal notion. It's the new word, but like ceiling and potential, bro. I'm tired of this word. Everyone wants a ceiling and a potential player. Just sign the players that are going to come here. Maybe at the end of their contract, give you 3-4 years and just get it over with. Arteta wants him, just sign the guy. If you want to get Eze. Mikel Merino suits the team. This is the player that will come in, support Odegaard, support Rice, Partey. I think it's a ready-made player, in my opinion.
I really like Mikel Merino, but he's 28, Mo. They ain't gonna.
What's the problem with that, Tayyip?
I don't think there's a problem with that. I'm just explaining to you how clubs operate.
And is that right or wrong?
It's wrong.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Would you want your club to sign someone like Mikel Merino if they're ready?
Right now, what are you talking about?
This is it. Like, forget this notion of potential and ceiling. Just now, but get players ready now.
Just before the end of the show, obviously, City a link to Olmo.
Oh, okay.
What do you guys make of that?
Husam hates Olmo.
I don't like Olmo. I mean, even before this link came out, yesterday I was just talking about him, or 2 days ago, because Liverpool have been linked to him for a really long time. I don't like him at all. I don't think he's good enough. I think his finishing is very inconsistent. It's kind of like he's basically kind of close to the Spanish Gabriel Jesus, to be honest with you. Like Olmo is not really someone that I look at and think, wow, he's scary or anything like that. I think he's very overrated. I think he's okay, but he ain't nothing special, Dani Olmo. So yeah, he's very good on the eye. He's kind of like Jesus. I wouldn't take him at Liverpool. We were linked to them before. I didn't want to take him then. I don't want to take him now. So yeah, for me, I just
the hype around him died down from 2 years ago. You remember 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the hype, he was so hyped. And I believe that the hype around him died down. But it's Pep Guardiola. If he wants him, he wants him. But I believe he can be a bench player for them. I think he adds to their team. Like, listen, Man City probably are the only club that don't need like to improve that much. They can go to the next season with the same squad along with Savio, and they can be all right. But if they want Dani Olmo and Pep Guardiola sees something in the guy, I think Pep Guardiola can get the best out of him. We saw him with the Spanish national team. He plays that tiki-taka football, that pass until I die football, and he can do it with them. And he has the technical ability.
I agree. He can play the Spanish style, and I feel that he could be someone that just ends up being a really good squad player for City. Just comfortable, not their best player, not overly prolific, but just beds in.
He's Spurs level.
Nicely. But but the system at Man City, with his sort of Spanish pedigree and background and how he's been trained, I think could just work. And he'd be a backup player. But again, a decent piece of business, really. But you are right. He was someone that maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, everybody was tipping to go on to these heights, and he just hasn't improved enough. He's a very good pro. He's an international. He's a Champions League standard football player, but he's good. The
problem with Olmo is the following: decision-making and finishing. Those two things are his biggest problem. Now, maybe Pep Guardiola can fine-tune that and he can become a very good player, but right now, I just don't know, man. I just don't know. He doesn't strike me with like, oh, wow, what a signing. He's okay. He's Spurs.
I think he has a big injury history as well. I just looked at it now. He had 3 injuries this season where he missed 11, 16 games and 2 games. He has a massive injury history for some reason. And I don't know if City want that or not. But again, City are doing straight. To be honest, the strangest club in this current market are Manchester City. And I don't know why. Is it the case?
Why?
Is it? But they're linked, like they were linked to Bruno Guimaraes, and then suddenly that died down so quick.
I mean, what's interesting with City, like a lot of, like we haven't heard. I think the hearing ended on Friday, and there's been no decision from that yet about the associated parties. You may find that City is sailing a little bit closer. City do need to be careful. And their fans are not going to like what I'm about to say, but I think this is because they've got good business people running the club. They may believe they're innocent. They may be innocent. They may be guilty, but think they're going to win. All those possibilities are true. They could be innocent and win. They could be guilty and win. They could be innocent and lose. All these things are possibilities. Maybe they're looking at the spending this summer, unless the third-party rule changes and they can suddenly have a sponsorship deal on the stadium that's worth 100, 200 million a year, 300 million a year, and no one can stop them. Maybe they have to slow down their spending slightly in case they lose the court case in November and find themselves with a gigantic fine, and then find themselves in a position where they can't afford to pay for the transfers that they've already made. And do you get where I'm coming from? So their City fans won't want to hit, but that isn't me saying you're guilty. That's saying your club has to prepare for that. But if you're going to court and you're like, I'm innocent, I'm going to be found innocent, you still need to be prepared and have a plan in order in case it goes wrong and you don't leave that court that day. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. Someone needs to know to come in and feed your dog. Somebody needs to know to pick your kids up from school, because just in case it doesn't go your way. So there could be an element of thinking along those lines.
This is the same as like, okay, so Husam sits on shows on his channel, This Is Football, and he says, where is the Caicedo money that you paid last summer? Where is that money? The money's still there. Now, see, if I remember correctly, City already had the deal locked in for Paqueta already we're talking about Guimaraes. This is 180 million. Now, just right off the bat here, it's 180 million pounds. They were linked to the winger, and then now the Paqueta deal is off, and Guimaraes release clause expired, so you can't sign him for that money now. You need to negotiate. And now City are not linked with, you're linked with players of the ilk of Olmo, and you aren't linked with the other players. Kimmich thing died down completely, and I'm like, there has to be something fishy happening. What is the 180 million or 200 million?
There's a few people in the comments saying, Terry, why are you always so negative about City? Again, I'm not being negative. I'm simply stating that their ownership potentially is planning for the worst possible outcome. And in life, that's what you need to do. Like I've had to use a lawyer recently for a work situation. It's all absolutely fine. It's a commercial situation. It's not a problem. But every time I speak to the lawyer, he depresses me because he goes, we've got to think about this problem and that problem. And I'm like, everything's negative. And he said, no, he goes, if you're prepared for the worst, everything will work out well. If you just think everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows and there's no plan of action, no contingency plan, should something go wrong, you end up in trouble. And it's a very true logic. Boys, look, I want to thank you both for coming on the show as ever. Viewers, you're absolutely amazing. My super chatters, you're simply the best. Please join the Football Terrace group chat before you leave. We put all the notifications in there every single day by scanning that QR code on the screen. And I want to thank people that have signed up to Stocks FC as well. The biggest number of scans and link clicks and people signing up and getting their accounts that we've had for a brand that we're working with. And I really like this company. I think that it's really exciting in terms of the future of what we're going to do with them. So thank you to everyone that's done that. Are you boys doing watch-alongs for the next lot of games?
Yeah, I'm doing a watch-along for the Ukraine-Belgium game.
Yes, so go watch these boys on their channels. We are live later tonight with the reactions to the European matches. We're actually going to get a 2-day rest from games after today as well.
Thank God!
I'm kind of looking forward to a couple of days of no games, to be fair. Just a couple of days to just do normal content and chill out a little bit and stuff like that. Look, viewers, thank you all. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon.